Mecca news, Mecca news, Mecca news. Check it out. Lil Durk, he got a motion pending right now if they could exclude the evidence from the phone that was found back in Georgia. It's going crazy. Sit back, listen to it. I'm going to break this all down, but first I want to let you know what's happening with the case. Let's keep it moving. All right.
Lil Durk's federal case just hit a whole new level of chaos. So authorities are now requesting an anonymous jury after alleged threats against a judge and prosecutor. Prosecutors say the rapper tried to destroy an Apple Watch in jail to cover his tracks, and he's now being accused of allegedly taking out hits on his own O-Block associate.
Yo, so check it out, right? This where we at, man. Let's get started. Rawr. All right, so this is where we at, man. We're going to get in a little Durk. We're going to drop a little jewels. But first, I'm going to break down what the case is about. Pay attention.
Lil Durk's defense just filed a new court document, and they're asking the judge to suppress evidence taken from his cell phone. But here's where this gets interesting. His attorneys are challenging how that phone was seized, what happened after it was taken, and why another warrant wasn't obtained until weeks later. And if you're wondering why a phone matters so much in this case, stay with me, because the defense is attacking the evidence from several different angles. On August 14, 2026, Durk Bank's attorneys filed a 10-page reply supporting their motion to suppress the fruits of what they describe as an unlawfully seized and searched telephone. In simple terms, they're asking the court to keep evidence obtained from that phone out of the case, and their argument starts with the original seizure. The filing identifies itself as Durk Bank's reply in support of his motion to suppress evidence from an allegedly unlawfully seized and searched telephone. According to Durk's defense, the original Gwinnett County warrant didn't authorize officers to take his phone. The defense points to the language of that warrant and argues that the phone was outside scope.
Now, let me explain to you what that's saying. What they're breaking down right now is that being that Lil Durk phone was taken from him, right? Let me see how I can break it down. You know, 'cause like I said, the class is in section. Now, Lil Durk's phone was taken from him, and the warrant only stated certain items that can be taken, and the phone was not one of those items. So his lawyer is arguing that the phone wasn't on the search warrant that the judge gave to remove property from his house. So being that the phone wasn't on the search warrant, the phone should be excluded from the trial and anything they found on the phone. Because we know that right now we put our life in our phones. Everything is in our phones. And that's what the problem is. Now, you see the picture on the screen. That's what they edited in. It wasn't me. Check it out. Keep it going, because we keeping it clean. Let's roll.
The government, however, has argued that there were legal exceptions that could justify the seizure. One of those arguments involves what's known as the plain view exception, but Durk's attorneys push back. They argue that simply finding a cell phone on the bedside table doesn't make that phone automatically incriminating.
Now, they're saying that it don't automatically make the phone incriminating because they're trying to say that it was in plain sight. Plain sight rules like this, because we're going to take a ride. I'm going to take you on a ride. I'm zooming down the turnpike, right? I just crossed the George Washington Bridge. I hit the turnpike. I'm in my M3 with the chrome BBSs, with the bubble on the window, got the sunroof open, 5-speed, and I'm jetting down the joint. We changing lanes. Me and the brother Samad from out of Newark. Big shout out to Newark. Samad had the little charcoal gray M3, and we racing down the highway, and then the police come up out of nowhere. So when they come out of nowhere, I got two of the homies with me in the car, so I don't want to get them in no problems. I'm already speeding, so I'm going to get a ticket. So I jet off anyway, right? So now when I jet off, a man in the back said, yo, pull over, man, pull over. We got a warrant. There's two of them in there. You know what I mean? I don't really give a crap. Whatever happens, I got enough to bail myself out anyway. So I pulls over. They searched the car and they found a little piece of, black hash back then. You know what I mean? When you take the hash, y'all remember back in the days, you took the hash, you rolled it up real thin, and then you laid it in the weed. But if that joint fell on something, it's gonna burn through whatever fabric it hit on, right? So that's where we at. So now the police takes it, then they brings us in. But when they run my name, run the names, they see who I am. So now they want to give it to me. So they switch it that they saw the little package that was in my man's little pencil pocket on his Guess jeans, that was mine's. Could you even believe that? And you know why they said it was mine? They said it was in plain view in the ashtray. But they took it out of his pocket. But that was to put it on me. You know, I wound up beating that too. You know what I mean? But, you know, we going to get to that later. Let's get back to this. All right.
The defense filing says the phone seizure was outside the scope of the Gwinnett County warrant and rejects the government's plain view justification. But now we get to one of the biggest points in the filing. The defense says the phone wasn't simply secured while officers immediately went out and obtained another warrant. Instead, they point to a delay of approximately 5 weeks before the later Rockdale warrant was obtained.
See, so they saying they were supposed to go out and go get a warrant right away in order to get that phone to take it to the seizure to be able to use it as evidence. They didn't do it right away. They waited 5 weeks, and that's what the lawyers arguing, that the delay before the later Rockdale warrant was obtained. Now, that's where we at. All right, pay attention, class.
And the defense says that matters. Their argument is that officers can't simply hold on to property for weeks and then use a later warrant to automatically cure what they claim was an unlawful seizure. The filing says the later Rockdale warrant came 5 weeks after the original seizure and argues that the delay was unreasonable.
Unreasonable meaning they could have said that it was emergency, it was a major shootout in the neighborhood, there was a lot of, unalivings for the weekend, and any little thing. But now you got to have a reason.
The defense also says Durk's attorney contacted the GBI multiple times demanding the phone's return. But the defense doesn't stop with the physical phone. They're also challenging what happened to the information extracted from it. The filing argues that law enforcement had an obligation to separate information that was actually responsive to the warrant from information that wasn't. And according to the defense, that didn't happen properly.
Now, that's a good one. The defense is arguing that you went in there to search the house for a warrant for whatever crime is being committed that allowed you to write this warrant. So only information dealing with that incident should be used is what Durk's lawyer is arguing. And the government is trying to use stuff from other crimes now, but that was not a part of the warrant. Do y'all understand it? I'm breaking this down in layman terms because that's how we do in the hood. It's like I'm sitting around the garbage can because, I like to ride. It's like we sitting around the garbage can in the winter. We all got our mask on. It's cold out and everybody out there hustling, and we're just telling stories until the next customer come. Then when they come, you say, you going to get that one. You look thirsty. But anyway, let's ride back to this video. All right.
The filing claims that data extracted from the phone was retained and intermingled in GBI custody. The defense argues that this effectively turned the later warrant into something much broader, what they describe as a general warrant.
See, they saying it made a general warrant that you could really just grab anything that may future be a crime. But when you're going for a warrant, it's supposed to be a specific items that is allowed to be removed based on this warrant. All right, let's keep it moving.
The defense makes these arguments concerning the handling and retention of extracted phone data and requests an evidentiary hearing regarding what information was considered responsive. Then there's another important part of the defense's argument. They say the later federal case can't simply be separated from the earlier state investigation. The filing points to the Rockdale warrant and argues that its investigation overlapped with the conduct at issue in the current federal prosecution.
All right, so they're saying that the crime that they tried to charge them in Rockdale, that they're bringing that over into a federal case from the information they got off the phone they got in Rockdale, and they cross it over into lines and jurisdictions that don't have nothing to do with them because they're just dealing with the jurisdiction of Rockdale. But now they're working together, and it's a broad general search warrant because you're saying you could take anything that you find because it's on the phone. Like when they went there, if it said they could take whatever containers they have, and they wind up taking clothes. No, they're not allowed to take it. So if they take some clothes and then they find a gun in the pocket, they wasn't supposed to, you know what I mean? Let's keep it moving.
The defense specifically points to references in the warrant affidavit involving alleged gang affiliation, the death of Durk's brother, and what's described in the filing as the Chicago incident. Their argument is that there was enough of a connection between the investigations that the court should hold an evidentiary hearing before allowing the evidence to be admitted. The filing makes this argument under its discussion of the Medina attenuation doctrine and argues that there was a sufficient nexus between the earlier seizure and the current federal prosecution. The government also has another potential path, the good faith exception. That's a legal doctrine dealing with situations where officers rely on legal authorization in a way that's considered objectively reasonable. But Durk's defense argues that good faith shouldn't save the evidence if officers should have known the seizure or search was unlawful. The filing points to case law concerning whether a reasonably trained officer would have understood that the search was illegal. The defense discusses the good faith exception and argues that it should not apply under the circumstances it describes. So what does Durk's defense actually want? They want the court.
All right, so that's what it is, right? We're going to keep it moving. Let's get into this. Before we begin, where we going to go here? Let me see where we're going to go. We're going to go into Lil Durk. So now, when the maybes start running out, that's what we're going to call this, right? When the maybes start running out. When one more door closes, because Lil Durk is sitting in the cell right now and he's thinking, maybe I could win this. That's going to be the door to let me out. Because if they can't use the stuff in the phone, then they can't use this and that. So therefore, I can use that to beat that. But young brother, there's a kind of pressure that hits different when trial is months away. You can still tell yourself, maybe the trial get pushed back. Maybe the witnesses don't come in. Maybe that evidence gets thrown out. Maybe the judge rules in your way. Maybe the evidence get thrown out. Maybe something changes. But what happens psychologically when trial is right there? A few days away, and those hopes disappear. That's where Lil Durk's story gets dark for me. His federal trial is scheduled for August 20th. That's days away. His lawyers fought to keep certain phone-derived evidence away from the jury, and that's where we at right now. And according to reporting on the latest court activity that I checked up, that fight may have just gone against him. We don't know yet, but it's not looking good. Now, don't hear Durk is guilty. I don't hear that. No, I don't hear that. He's pled not guilty. The government still has to prove its case. What I'm talking about is something different. I'm talking about what happens inside a man when that chessboard start getting smaller. Because outside, everybody's talking. Lawyers are moving, prosecutors are moving, media's moving, fans debating, everybody moving. And the man whose future is allegedly on the line, he can't go nowhere. Lil Durk is stuck where he's at. That's the federal detention. That's psychological pressure. The biggest event of your life can be racing towards you, while physically, you're standing still behind a door somebody else controls. I know something about that feeling. I did 26 years in federal prison, and there were moments where one legal option would disappear, then another. And every time one disappears, the cell felt smaller. Small walls, small bunks, small doors, but mentally, less room, because that's where I'm at right now. That's what these young brothers don't calculate. Let me explain something to you. When you file a motion and you're in court, you're hoping you'll win, but you expect the worst. I filed about 100 motions in 26 years. Go pull up my docket. I ain't got nothing to hide. And you'll see denied, 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 denied. So I know the feeling that a man in that situation is going through, because I went through it myself. And like I said, that's what these young brothers don't calculate. Trouble don't always break you when it first happens. Sometimes it starts breaking you when every possible escape route in your mind starts closing one at a time. How confident does a man stay when the maybes start becoming no? You know this, like when you hear no, when you're filing a motion and you're trying to get out of prison and you have a life in prison. Let me get into the jewel of that. I don't know if you're all ready for that. Now, hope gives a man room to breathe. But when reality starts removing the room, discipline becomes more important than confidence. Because confidence without reality can turn into denial. Now, we're gonna ride into the second phase. Let's go. This isn't about a phone, it's about control. Remember that. A lot of people are gonna hear own evidence and stop right there. That's too shallow. Durk's lawyer argued that a phone taken during a 2021 Georgia investigation was unlawfully seized, that the government waited too long, and that a text pulled from the device should not be used at trial. That's the legal fight, just so you understand. They're fighting about a text that the lawyers feel is incriminating. And now it's about, did they have permission to obtain that text? Because the other agency that had it in the state of Georgia, they was only supposed to be looking for one thing, not that text. Keep that in mind. See how you learn it, Unique Mecca Audio? Now, my lane is a psychological fight. Because while lawyers are arguing Fourth Amendment language, the defendant is living with the consequences of every ruling. Lawyers can say, we lost that motion there, man. We'll get the next one. Then move to the next argument. But the man sitting in custody, I heard Lil Durk may be hearing that evidence might not be coming in front of the jury. Same sentence, completely different emotional weight. That's what lived experience teaches you. Legal people talk pressure. Prisoners feel pressure. And pressure is really about control. Outside, you feel like you control everything. Your schedule, your movement, your phone, your people, your environment. In federal custody, everybody keeps taking pieces of control away. Judge controls the rulings. The government controls what it changes. Lawyers control strategy. Witnesses control what they say. The jury eventually controls the verdict. And somebody else controls the door. Now, the jewel in that, street power feels enormous until the system starts deciding what enters the room. Then you find one real quick, Ron. How much control have you actually had? Now, this is my twist. The maybes are mental oxygen. To be feeling like you may win this one. Maybe this is the motion that's gonna free me. That's like mental oxygen. And I'm gonna break that down. Here's my first Unique Mecca Audio twist. A defendant survives, or maybe it's more than people understand. Maybe I get bombed. Maybe evidence gets suppressed. Maybe this gets dismissed. Maybe the government messed up. Maybe the witnesses fall apart. Maybe the jury sees it my way. Those maybes become psychological oxygen, because that's what keeps you alive, to feel like you can take this fight. You can stand firm for this fight. And that's where so many people have broke weak and decided to go on the other side because they couldn't take that type of pressure. They didn't know how to deal with that psychological oxygen. They just looked at it like it was no hope. Not because the man is fooling himself by believing in that hope and using that psychological oxygen. Because hope is how human beings survive uncertainty. You need something ahead of you. You need to be looking forward to something. And that's why they said, you must believe in a God, whatever label or name you want to give him. You must believe in a higher power. And that's the way that's working, so you understand, right? So now, but every time a judge rules, one possible future disappears. Now the mind has fewer places to hide because he was hiding behind, maybe I win that motion. That's where it gets dangerous, because once the mind runs out of outside exits, it starts going inwards, replaying everything. Who did what? Who said what? What should I have done? What should I have never done? What did I miss? And that's where I know the road, because where I was doing my time, I learned something real ugly. A man can lose freedom once legally, then lose it over and over mentally. Every night when the lights go out. That's why I'm asking the young brothers without begging them to answer this. This is what I want the young brothers to answer. Which one breaks a man faster? Bad news itself, or watching, hoping, disappearing, one rule at a time? Which one breaks a man faster to you? Bad news itself, or watching hope disappear? One court ruling at a time. And I had to deal with that for 100 motions. Now, the jewel in that, Ron, that one had me stuck. There's some things I don't like to tap back on, but I'm just trying to help you, so I'm bringing it out for you. The system can close a legal door once. Your mind can stand in front of that same closed door for months. Now, we're going to take a ride into what I call the dark psychological cell. 2 nights before trial, and you have Lil Durk wondering what's going to happen. Now, coming to the cell, right? Not Durk's exact private thoughts now. I can't say I know them, but I can tell you what it feels like for a man that's in that situation. So I'm just translating what this kind of pressure can do. Trial starts Thursday. It's Tuesday. 2 nights. That sounds short outside. It's only 2 nights. Inside, 2 nights can feel like 2 months. Your stomach starts curling. You lay down, your eyes close, your brain starts opening. What's opening statement gonna sound like? Which witness comes first? What evidence comes in? What did the judge allow? What did the judge block? What did the lawyers miss? What does the government really have? Then fear starts dressing itself up like information. That's the dangerous part. Your mind would tell you things it doesn't know. When you in that situation, man, I'm telling you, y'all ain't trying to go in that situation. It will create witnesses, create outcomes, create disasters, create verdicts. And none of them have happened yet. That's why prison psychology is so different, right? Prison psychology is so different. Outside, you can distract yourself. You could drive, you could work, you could go somewhere, you could pick up your children, you could eat, you could move. But inside, when the door closes, your thoughts got nowhere to go either. They locked in that room with you. I've had nights where old decisions became loud enough to feel like people were standing right there over me in the room, like I was living it over and over again. That's what you call the dark psychological cell. I was seeing faces, losses, things I couldn't undo. That's the dark cell. The room isn't doing anything. Your mind is doing it all. That's why I laugh when young dudes say, man, I could do time. That ain't nothing. Can you? Can you do the silence? Can you do the uncertainty of not knowing if a motion is going to be granted in your favor or you have to sit in prison for decades? Can you do 3 a.m. when your own brain becomes the prosecutor and it attacks you worse than the physical prosecutor? Can you handle that? The hardest part of confinement is not always who's locked in there with you. Sometimes it's the version of you can't get away from. Just like Keefe D going through that now, trying to get away from a version of him, distance himself as far as he can. Where, we're not even gonna get into that. The phone doesn't have loyalty. Let me explain that, because that's what this whole thing is about. This is about the phone, right? Oh yeah, speaking of phone, if you want to send the video to show what you think of the video, you know, or whatever, what they call it, if you want to get the air, this what it look like. Just send it to the number on the screen that's up there. Let me show you what this look like real quick, all right? So you can send a video like this. Let's go. All right.
I just want to give a shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. He is so dope. I had the experience of actually meeting him in person. I've been a fan for 2 years, watching his story and watching his videos on YouTube. He is the bomb.com. Harlem, legendary, kingpin, real, official. As soon as I sat down by him, I knew like it was like a different energy, a different vibe. But then once I heard his voice, I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it was such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1,000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing, amazing.
All right. So that's what it is. If you're trying to have your video up there and show what you get from the channel, what you think of Unique Mecca Audio, or what you think about the OG Professor, you know, send your video to the number on the screen. But now we're going to talk about this same phone that can do something magical as that, right? Now, here's another angle these young brothers need, right? Everybody talks about loyalty. Who's solid, who's telling, who stood tall. But what happens when the things speaking isn't a person? A phone has no street code, no loyalty, no friendship, no fear, no love, no hatred. It's a machine. And it can be your number one witness. And 9 times out of 10, it will be. And a machine doesn't care whether you call somebody family, whether information legally survives. That's why the lesson isn't learn how to hide from the phone. That would be stupid. The lesson is stop building a life where your future depends on hiding yesterday. Too many young people think the smart move is becoming better at avoiding consequences. No, the smart move is avoiding decisions that create consequences in the first place. That right there is maturity. Because when your whole lifestyle requires silence, deletion, secrets, everybody staying loyal, everybody remembering the same thing, you're building freedom on weak foundation. You can demand loyalty from people. What loyalty agreement did yesterday is a data sign. Now, when the cell starts shrinking without moving, I'm gonna tell you about what it feels like when that cell starts shrinking, feel like it's getting smaller and smaller, it's not moving anywhere. This is another psychological trick of trial pressure. The room stays the same size, but mentally it shrinks. Trial months away, you could breathe a little bit. Trial next week, it's a little different. Trial in 2 days, that's different again. One motion lost One witness cleared, one exhibit admitted. Suddenly, the walls feels closer, like they're caving in on you. Feel like you can't breathe. You grabbed your chest. I laid on the ground. The first time they put me in isolation. And I went towards the door. And I had to try and breathe. The air come under the door while dust is blowing all in my face. But that air felt so good. Because while I sat there looking around that room, it felt like the walls was caving in and the oxygen was there. I couldn't breathe. I had to go on the ground and put my head under the door to get some air. There was nothing more than the dust from the fan in the hallway blowing it under everybody's door now into my mouth. But that air made me feel like freedom because in the room I had no oxygen. That's because the future stops being absent. Thursday has a face now for Lil Durk. It has a courtroom, jurors, lawyers, evidence, reality. Young people, they live like consequences are absent. Prison is a word. Trial is a word. Life sentence is a phrase until a date hits the calendar. That's what I had, life plus 20 in federal prison. Then all them words become physical. Court, clothes, shackles, bus ride, holding cell, marshals. I hated when the marshals came to get me. They had this one fine one though with jet black hair, looked a little Filipino and, Asian or something back in the day. That was down in Norfolk. Y'all remember her in Norfolk? Defense table. They got the defense table waiting on that ass. That's why I keep telling these young brothers, don't wait until consequences become physical before you respect it. Fear is more useful before the mistake than after the indictment. Remember that. Wisdom is learning from consequences before you personally have to feel it. Now, we're going to talk about street confidence versus federal patience. Everybody feel confident, cocky. They posting everything on social media. They doing all that. They real confident, right? But the feds are patient. Street culture teaches confidence. Walk strong. Don't look scared. Don't show weakness. Stand on your business. Federal court doesn't care about any of that. Federal court can wait months, years. Records, search warrants, interviews, data, motions. Quit working. That's why young dudes misunderstand the government. They think nobody came today, so I'm good. The young people think nobody came today, so I'm good. Wrong mathematics. The street judges success by whether you got away from the moment. Federal cases can be built backwards. Yesterday comes forward, just like how 30 years ago just came forward for Keefe D. That's why I tell them, don't build your confidence around they can't prove it. Build confidence around I'm not living in a way that requires me to gamble my life on what somebody can prove. Now, the jewel in that, I feel like we riding good today. Oh man, we're a little overclass, y'all. I'm sorry about that, but I want to thank y'all for coming. I want to really thank y'all for coming. Round of applause to y'all. All right, let me get to the jewel, y'all. Can I get to the jewel, y'all? Let's go. The smartest street move is not beating the case. It's never volunteering for the case in the first place. Remember that. Now, we're going to talk about the people outside go home, but Lil Durk don't. Here's something else young fans forget. Everybody debating Durk's case online. They go home afterwards. They argue, they pick sides, they post, they laugh, they make predictions. Then close the app and go on about their life. While they close the federal doors on Lil Durk, that defendant doesn't close the app. This is his real life, his freedom, his family, his future. That's why I don't get caught up in fan behavior. You can support somebody and still understand the courtroom is not random. Now, Durk is presumed innocent. Let's get that perfectly clear. And I pray the brother beat this, myself. Big shout out and my deepest sympathy to his father, Big Durk, and Shorty Dope, you know, his uncle. Durk is presumed innocent. His lawyers are going to fight. Government has to prove the charges. That's the legal reality. But the psychological reality exists too. Win or lose a motion, sit in custody long enough, trial gets close enough, pressure is real, fame doesn't numb that pressure. Imagine everybody having an option and everyone having an opinion about your future while nobody sharing an opinion has to sleep where you sleep. No one is sharing that opinion. Remember that. That changes how serious the conversation should be. Now, we're gonna get to the jewel and we riding good. It's entertainment to the audience. It's existence to the defendant. Now, I'm gonna give you another twist, right? The most dangerous thing may be false control. Here's my second Unique Mecca audio twist. Sometimes the most dangerous feeling in street life is the illusion of control. You got money, you got people, you got cars, influence, security. You start thinking, I control my environment. How many of y'all feel like you control your environment and you're in charge? Then the indictment comes. Now controls get peeled back layer by layer. First, movement, then schedule, then privacy, then communication, then courtroom decisions. That psychological humiliation for somebody else to lose that control. And that's where ego either matures or breaks you. Because real strength isn't controlling everything around you. Real strength is controlling yourself when everything around you is outside your control. That's manhood. Can you sit still? Can you think? Can you listen? Can you let your lawyer work? Can you stop your emotions from making a bad decision worse? A young man hears power and thinks he controls everyone. An older man learns that he must control himself. And the jewel in that is a man who controls everybody but himself is not powerful. He's dangerous to his own future. What 2 days really feel like when you're going to trial and looking at, if convicted, serving life in prison? 48 hours outside, nothing. 48 hours outside. That's nothing. That's a weekend. That's 2 sleeps. What we call in the prison, you know, that's 1 in a wake up. You know, in prison. Figure that out. We say 2 days is 1 in a wake up. 5 days is 4 in a wake up. Explain in the comments what that means to you. 48 hours before a federal trial. Different clock. Every hour has a wait. Morning count, meal, legal visit, phone call, night, repeat, do it all over again. And while the institution is moving normally, your whole life is approaching abnormally. That's strange psychologically. Everybody around you has tomorrow coming and looking forward to with great enjoyment. But you're looking forward to going to a court to fight for your life. You're wondering what your tomorrow looks like months from now, years from now. That's where fear gets heavy. And fear isn't always weakness. Healthy fear can save your life. I wish more young brothers feared the right things. Not somebody calling you soft. Fear losing freedom. Fear missing your children. Fear making your mother visit you in prison for decades. Street culture trained young men to fear embarrassment more than incarceration. Think about how backwards that is. Street culture trained young men to fear embarrassment more than incarceration. Think about that. Now, the jewel in that, right? Because I'm ready to go. If embarrassment lasts 5 minutes and prison lasts years or decades, which one should a smart man really fear? Now, let's talk about accountability. We can't do this class without talking about accountability. Accountability without prejudging Durk. Let me make this clear. This ain't me convicting Lil Durk. He's innocent until proven guilty. His defense is fighting the case. The jury has not rendered a verdict. That's principle. If I demand fairness for myself, I have to demand fairness for someone else. But accountability doesn't require me to wait for a verdict to teach young brothers about pressure. Because the warning is bigger than Durk. You build certain situations around yourself. Eventually, lawyers may be arguing over you while you're fighting for your freedom. That's true whether the jury ultimately believes the government or the defense. That's prevention. I'm not teaching. Don't get caught. I'm teaching. Don't let temporary emotions create permanent environments for you, because the prison is nothing nice. A psychological explanation should never become an excuse. Understanding the trap is supposed to help you avoid it. Now, let me give you the final lesson that I'm out of here. I gotta shorten these. I think I'm doing it a little too long for you. Stop building a life around maybe. Young brother, here's where I leave this. Don't build your whole future around maybe nobody tells, maybe there's no camera, maybe the phone doesn't matter, maybe the police don't know, maybe the judge suppresses the evidence, maybe the case falls apart. That's gambling, and freedom is too valuable to put on a roulette table. The smarter life says, maybe I walk away, maybe I grow. Maybe I stop answering certain calls. Maybe I stop proving myself. Maybe I become somebody my children can depend on. Those are the maybes worth betting on. I did 26 years in federal prison with a life plus 20 with no chance of parole sentence. I'm talking from the receipt. I am the receipt at the end of the road that you're heading down. Not theory, not television, the receipt. I know what happens when the young man makes a decision and the older man has to live inside it. And that's what's happening. That's why I sit here. So when you hear that Lil Durk may have lost another pretrial, 5 days before trial, don't just hear rap news. Hear the deeper warning, one by one, legal possibilities disappearing. And the man has to sit there while they disappear. Before you ever reach that place, control what you still can. Your temper, your circle, your ego, your choices, your movement, yourself. And the jewel in that, that's where we at, the jewel in this. The streets teach you to gamble on maybe I'll get away. Maybe nobody knows. Maybe everybody stays loyal. But wisdom says, maybe my freedom is too valuable to gamble with all that. Now, the streets are real, and we already know, I said it 1,000 times, the prison is realer. And when the maybes start running out, you find out exactly how expensive yesterday really was. Now I'm gonna ask you all some questions before I tap out. Which is harder psychologically before trial? Losing emotion or not knowing what the government still has left? My suggested answer is the unknown may be heavier because fear fills empty spaces with worst case scenarios. If Durk's lawyers fought to keep the phone evidence out and it comes in, does that automatically mean the government has a strong case? Now, what is worse for Lil Durk, the defendant? Evidence from another person or data coming from his own device? Does losing a major pretrial motion shake confidence, or should a defendant mentally ignore it and trust the trial strategy? Put that in the comments. If somebody's freedom depends on everybody around him staying loyal forever, was that ever really a safe life to you? Is real street intelligence knowing how to beat consequences, or knowing when a decision isn't worth making? Which requires more strength? Looking fearless before trial, or admitting privately that you're scared to death of losing your life to prison? Do young men fear disrespect more than prison because street culture trained them backwards? Can somebody truly understand the value of freedom without first losing some of it? If your 60-year-old self would watch the decisions you're making right now, would he call them loyalty, or would he call them a debt you're leaving for him? Now, we've been on here long enough. Like I said, if you want to get your videos up, express how you feel, what you think, hold your phone sideways like this and tell them what you think about Unique Mecca Audio, something like this. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, man? Murder Mook, Harlem, you know what it is, man. I just want to express how much gratitude I got for Unique, you know what I mean? I was telling him a story, telling him how I felt about, if anything was to go wrong with my career, rap-wise, if, should be slow, and I got so many opportunities to be able to do the wrong shit. When I watch Unique Mecca Audio, I feel it, and to my soul, and that's keeping me farthest away from doing anything criminal. Anything criminal. He made me think straight, honestly. Made me think straight, because I've been watching him for about a year now, maybe, and it just took my mind way off of that. From a year ago, it got rough. For a year ago, yeah. And from watching this man, I just felt like you saved me. You saved me. And I just want to show my gratitude, and I want to say thank you, man. Unique Mecca Audio, anything you need, brother, from me.
All right.
Anything you need, man.
All right.
Here with the OGs, you already know. Unique Mecca Audio. If you ain't tapped into Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you tapped into. I'm talking about real streets. I'm talking about real entertainment. I'm talking about real YouTubing, real getting to that bag. But I'm talking about a real OG that changed their life, yo. I changed my life the same way. And real OGs like that push me further to change my life. You hear me? Come look. Look what's going on out here. This Harlem. I'm a Brooklyn boy. So I only tap in with OGs like Mecca, man. Because I'm telling you, if you're not tapped into Unique Mecca Audio, I don't know what you're doing, man. Show them the scene, OG. They playing themselves. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Hi, I watch Unique Mecca's YouTube, and it's amazing. Like, his whole story is so nostalgic. It's so like Harlem. It's so like 1980s. It's so 1999. I've been watching his channel for about 2 years, and it's very informative and it's real. You know, you don't really get the real deal from everybody, but with him, you definitely gonna get the whole real story. This is a Harlem legend, kingpin, legendary. I'm so happy to just even meet him and be in his presence. Like, his channel is very informal, and if you subscribe, you're gonna be just like me, a fan.
All right.
You
Let's go. Hey, yo, tune in to Mecca Audio, man. Unique, man. Listen, man. I'm a young OG. I knew him since I was young. I used to be in Mecca Audio Studios. Great, man. I'm Rah from Tupac Me Against the World album. You can check my credentials. This is a good man, real man. Mecca Audio. I've been knowing this man since I was a little young lad, man. Before Tupac album, before I even did the outlaw shit and all that, man. Holla at me, man. And tune in to Mecca Audio Unique, man. Holla at us, man.
All right.
You know.
What's going on, people? What's going on, man? You got your boy Lodestone out here in Harlem. I'm from the BX. I'm with Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? It's a good vibe with the OG. I advise everybody, you want to hear real spill, real shit, no cap, tune in. Tune in and hear what the OG got to say, man. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give y'all the truth, man. He gonna give you that real shit, man.
Let's go. Hey, yo, tune in to Mecca Audio, man. Unique, man. Listen, man. I'm a young OG. I knew him since I was young. I used to be in Mecca Audio Studios. Great, man. I'm Rah from Tupac Me Against the World album. You can check my credentials. This is a good man, real man. Mecca Audio. I've been knowing this man since I was a little young lad, man. Before Tupac album, before I even did the outlaw shit and all that, man. Holla at me, man. And tune in to Mecca Audio Unique, man. Holla at us, man.
All right.
You know.
Hi, I watch Unique Mecca's YouTube, and it's amazing. Like, his whole story is so nostalgic. It's so like Harlem. It's so like 1980s. It's so 1999. I've been watching his channel for about 2 years, and it's very informative and it's real. You know, you don't really get the real deal from everybody, but with him, you definitely gonna get the whole real story. This is a Harlem legend, kingpin, legendary. I'm so happy to just even meet him and be in his presence. Like, his channel is very informal, and if you subscribe, you're gonna be just like me, a fan.
All right.
I'm like, oh my God, is that him? I'm all fanned out. Like, you know, it was such an experience getting the chance to meet him and, you know, being a fan of his YouTube channel and just following him for the last 2 years and knowing his story and seeing his interviews. And I support him 1000%. And I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You should go and subscribe as well. Amazing. History, how hard it is to be in jail, the right and wrong moves to make when you outside, how one wrong move will cost you a whole lot, to be better, to do better, a lot of stuff. You'll get a lot of stuff from his channel. You know, it's very informal, and you know, whatever that means to you, you'll definitely take a piece with you. Like, this is a good YouTube channel, honestly.
So who you on, where they can find you?
Okay, I'm Cora. You can find me at Instagram on Why Hate on Her, and yeah.
What's good, y'all? This New York Chuck. Yeah, and this Erupt One. Yo, you know, we just here, we out here in Harlem, you know what I'm saying? We out here, you know, Rock birthday party. You know, but this party right here brought out a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And one of the people that this party brought out was like a cornerstone in Harlem, like, you know, I'm talking about with the music, getting money, doing all, and, you know, actually, like, a lot of us, we took a page out of his book, you know, to get where we became in life, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna shout my guy out. Shout out to Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I'm saying? He bring y'all real street knowledge. He got all the gangsters on his pod. We Harlem, we the streets. You know what I'm saying? Tune in to Mecca Audio TV, man.
No
on
doubt,
YouTube.
no doubt.
On God, yo. One love for Unique, man. We love
Shout
you,
out
bro.
to Harlem, shout out to Jersey.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Ayo,
fresh out the can of 26. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours, so we can give back to the.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?